The Federal Communications Commission issuing an idea that everybody, a big idea, that everybody in this country should have access to good, high-speed, fat pipe internet like this one by 2020. 10 megabytes per second coming into your house. This may not be news to some of you. Some of you already have that kind of speed. Did you know there's a small portion of this country that doesn't even have broadband access? They're still using dial-up. They can't get access to the internet. Imagine what your life would be like if you didn't have access to the internet. Let's bring Michael Powell into the conversation. He's the former chairman of the FCC under President George W. Bush. He was appointed to the FCC by President Bill Clinton, and he's an honorary co-chairman of Broadband for America, which is a group of companies coming together to try and get more broadband out there in America. And in that capacity, Mr. Powell, you wrote an article for Forbes sort of outlining the big deal about broadband, why we need to care so much about something that, like electricity, we don't really worry that much about. We don't think about. We just think it gets faster and better every year. Tell me the case for more broadband, better broadband, faster broadband.
I think the first thing we have to come to grips with is that we've had a transformation in the economy and in the planet. We've gone from the industrial age to what we're calling the information age. And it's not assured that the United States is a great empire in the information age. What's critical is that we have a digitally literate society that's fully connected to the infrastructure that makes that possible. So as a matter of national policy, I think it's a high priority. And I think a national broadband plan, if done right, and I commend the Commission for what it's done, really helps set out a public policy framework that can allow greater stimulation and private investment in broadband and help take the United States to the place that it wants to be and to show us.
Why are we where we are? Why is the United States? I was very surprised to see that on various studies we're 15th, 16th, 17th in the world in terms of our broadband speed. Why are we not in the top three?
Well, it's interesting. I think a lot of people debate and dispute and wonder about the value of these rankings, but I think it's nearly universally agreed that the United States should do a lot better. You know, we have a larger country with a more diverse population and a tougher geography to solve than many of those countries. And many of those rankings are per capita, where we have large households in the United States to connect to. But the short answer is we need to stimulate private investment to a much greater degree than we've been able to do so far. And I think that public policy has not been properly harmonized to give the kind of stability and certainty a lot of the market needs to move forward, and hopefully that'll be a result of
Okay, what does that mean in the most basic of terms? What's going to have to happen? Because I know people who have much better broadband access than I have. I'm limited by the service that I have to whatever it is that I get. But some people can get better service, and we'd like people to get a lot more service. What has to happen? When you talk about this private initiative and investment, what is it that has to happen to get this small pipe that I've been showing people on TV into this big pipe?
Well, a couple of things I think we need to take care of right away, and you mentioned it at the top of the hour. First of all, 5% of Americans don't even have the small pipe, and I think it is a matter of national imperative to provide assistance and program and support to get those folks online, to have any kind of access to the internet. And then I think to really increase speeds. I mean, it is fair to say, despite these international rankings, 95% of us have access to broadband, and private companies are investing stunning sums of money on an annual basis to increase the speeds. And at the end of this year, a lot of the people will have 50 to 100 megabytes. Part of it is whether we have enough value. You know, a huge percentage of Americans who have access say they don't subscribe because they don't see the value to their lives. And I wonder whether we're doing a good enough job in terms of providing government services and other kinds of support services that would really show the indispensable nature of the infrastructure that allow people to subscribe to it. Secondly, I think the affordability issue is not just the price of the infrastructure. To get on the internet, you have to have a computer, you have to have the kind of hardware and gadgetry, and you have to be digitally literate to really have a command of what you can do with the infrastructure. All of these things are things we can work on in our system together on.
Well, I'm going to ask you one thing, because I just upgraded my internet speed about a week ago because I've been trying to teleconference with my team here at CNN, and that's where I realized I didn't have enough upload bandwidth and all these numbers, and I did tests and all that kind of thing. What is the thing going to be that causes people to think they want more bandwidth? Is it just going to be the type of applications or music videos? What is it that's going to cause most people to say, I subscribe to this, I'm prepared to pay a little bit more, but I want a lot more bandwidth?
I think it's a great question because I think sometimes we get hung up on these speeds. I think the average consumer doesn't necessarily know what we're talking about when we say 4 megabits or 10 megabits. Speed is really relative to us. What's valuable is what can you do with it.
Right.
And I think, number one, entertainment is often a driver. To have full motion, high quality video is a strong experience that many consumers subscribe to. But coincidentally, if you get that kind of high quality video bandwidth, you can also send your MRIs to your doctor. You can also manage your energy efficiency more effectively. So while there are playful uses of that increased capacity, there are really critical life enhancing functions to that capability as well. And so I really think it's not only the content industry that has to produce more value, the infrastructure to get better, but I'm a big fan of government 2.0, which is in your communities as a citizen, does your government provide easy functionality and access to get your car registered, to pay your taxes, to vote, to engage in the functions of citizenry? And I'd like to see the government and local and state communities put a lot more emphasis on that as well.